Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, the manager of the two-time defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, Dave Roberts, really stirred up a hornet's nest when he said on an Amazon Prime sports program the other night that he's in favor of a salary cap and a salary floor. And that certainly set off some commentary, to say the least. I find it interesting that these managers who were once players, now managers, are suddenly in favor of a salary cap when they never were in favor of a salary cap when they were a member of the MLBPA. It's fascinating. And here you've got the manager of the Dodgers whose team spends through the roof advocating for a salary cap and a salary floor. Look, it's not going to happen. The Players Association is never going to agree to a salary cap, and they're not going to agree to a salary floor. And you might ask yourself, well, why isn't the association in favor of a salary floor? Wouldn't that bring salaries up? Well, the association doesn't believe so. And let me give you an illustration. Going back to the dawning of free agency in the 1970s, when the owners finally realized in negotiations with the god, the icon of the Major League Baseball Players Association, Marvin Miller, that they would have to have free agency. Obviously, the courts stepped in with an arbitrator's ruling to also mean that there was going to have to be free agency. And they settled, they meaning the Players Association and the owners, on a 6-year period. After that 6 years, a player could become a free agent the first time around. And Charlie Finley, the owner of the Oakland Athletics, said, wait a minute, why 6 years? How about we have every player become a free agent after the season? Season is over, all the players become free agents. And Marvin Miller was dead set against that. And for obvious reasons. It would dilute the market. If you had all these players out there, you might get a superstar making a lot of money or a couple of players a lot of money, but it was going to dilute the salaries of the vast majority of members of the association. And that's why the MLBPA is not in favor of a salary floor, just as obviously they are not in favor of a salary cap. Look, they went to war. They went to the mattresses in order to get that salary cap. They're not going to give it up. And I don't think you're going to see, I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see a loss of Major League Baseball games come 2027. Now, the agreement between the owners and the players expires on December 1st, 2026, so that's less than a year from now. And you're going to be hearing all this talk between now and then, and this rumor, this player says, that owner says, this source has an inside scoop, that source has an inside scoop. Joe Blow reported it first. No, credit goes to Tim Smith. It goes on and on with social media. But I would be surprised. I mean, Rob Manfred is in his last term as baseball commissioner, or so we have been told. And he has never had a loss of games on his watch. Now, there have been work stoppages, including during that last deal between the association and the owners. There was a work stoppage, and they didn't come to an agreement until spring training. But they didn't lose any games. And that is a point of pride for Commissioner Manfred. And I think he wants to keep that legacy alive, that he never lost any regular season games on his watch. So there'll probably be a work stoppage, but you will never see the Players Association agree to a salary cap, just as you will never see the association agree to a salary floor. They believe those two areas, a floor and a cap, dilute salaries. And they're going to use the Dodgers as Exhibit A. The Dodgers continue to spend. Think about this for just a moment. At the end of the 2024 season, the Dodgers had a luxury tax. Remember, if you spend above a certain threshold, you have to pay a luxury tax, and that money goes into a pool and is distributed to the small market teams. At the end of the 2024 season, we don't know the 2025 numbers yet, but at the end of the 2024 season, the Dodgers had a luxury tax of $103 million. That was higher than some small market teams' payrolls. And I'm sure that their luxury tax is going to even be higher once the 2025 numbers come in. Players Association, when they see contracts like the deal that was doled out to Juan Soto, or even the deal that the Blue Jays just gave to pitcher Dylan Cease, who you could make a strong argument was overpaid. Overpaid, by the way, because there's just a small market of starting pitchers out there that can help a team, particularly a contending team. That's why the association doesn't want to have a salary cap. It's very obvious, and that's why the association doesn't want a salary floor either. They believe it's going to dilute the market. So you're not going to see it, but I don't think you're going to see a loss of games as long as Rob Manfred is commissioner, because he's got a legacy he wants to protect, and I know he's very proud of the fact that Major League Baseball has never lost any games on his watch. So I still contend, if you hear these rumblings from owners that this time we want a salary cap, they're using it as a negotiating ploy so that they can reduce the number of games played in the regular season and add more playoff games. I think that's their ultimate goal, and they know that they can make a lot of money following that system rather than the one that's in place. I've done commentaries on that before, but I believe that they are using the salary cap as a negotiating ploy to add more playoff teams. And the association is against that too, because they believe if you expand the playoff field, it's not going to incentivize some of these owners to hand out big contracts figuring, hey, we got a chance to make the playoffs with a team that has players who are making middle-of-the-road salaries, and if they get hot at the right time, they could make a run at the World Series. And that really is baseball. You get hot at the right time, and even a 500 team could reel off 10, 11 wins in a row. And that's why the association doesn't want to have any more playoff teams. I think they're going to have to relent on that. And that's why I maintain the owners are using the salary cap issue. Not that they formally said that they're pushing for a salary cap, but you read the stories. They're using that as a negotiating ploy. We shall see. But there will be stories out there between now and December 1st, 2026. And one other note, this commissioner wants expansion. He wants to add 2 more teams, and it would be a windfall for the owners. How much of a windfall? Into the billions of dollars. I mean, the last we saw, it was going to cost each team $2 billion for an entry fee. So that's $4 billion if you add 2 teams. The entry fee is probably going to even be higher now, and that's distributed among all of the owners. So be interesting to see what unfolds, but Dave Roberts certainly caused a firestorm with his comments. The former player, the former member of the Major League Baseball Players Association, which has never supported a salary cap nor a salary floor, out there saying now he's manager of the Dodgers, he wants a salary cap and a salary floor. He would favor both. Baseball. Gotta love it. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you later.